Welcome back to Your Spectacular Life. I'm Jody Whites, your business and life coach, helping you to get, well, whatever is in your heart and making it spectacular. I'm so happy with this program today. We are working with a panel of therapists and coaches on the topic of confidence and how to get confidence. And hello, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Oh, don't they sound great? I can't wait for this to begin. I'm going to be giving you some bios on our three panelists. I'm going to start with Gail Weiner. Gail Weiner, LMFT, brings 4 decades of clinical experience to help individuals and couples thrive. She's also developed a unique approach to create lasting love at any age. And that's date-wise, where clients identify temperament and attachment needs, transform patterns, effectively vet dates, and risk authentic connection. They'll craft memorable online profiles, learn to spot best matches, and negotiate conflict with skill. Gail's been interviewed on Voice America and many podcasts, writes as a guest expert for First Date Stories, has taught graduate level human sexuality, and speaks widely on dating and couples issues. She leads workshops and empowered dating groups throughout Northern California and offers a complimentary 1-hour consult. In the notes, you'll see her website at datewisenow.com. All right, Gail. Pia Darling, our next panelist, guides women's business and owners to unleash their soul's calling and expand their impact. The fundamental nature of our universe is to grow and expand. And with all you have achieved, you know there is more to unfold and contribute. And Pia is passionate about guiding women to expand their soul's expression. She has decades of both healing and corporate experience and holds certificates in hypnotherapy, holistic health, health counseling, somatic, emotional integration, and hand analysis. With this wealth of knowledge and expertise, Pia guides you to heart-centered power and success by embracing your true feminine nature. She helps heal old wounds, invigorates your unique callings, and opens a path of ease. Her website at pia.healing.com, she'll offer you a gift for you to download, an 8-minute ICU guided journey to draw on your inner strength for an immediate confidence uplift. Great. And what we have is Cynthia Gregory, and she comes to us with a little bit of a different background. She is an MFA and an award-winning writer, author, and creativity coach. As a consciously creative storyteller, Cynthia helps her clients set goals that align with their values and life vision. As a writing mentor, she helps would-be authors find their voice, curate their books and their dreams, and boost their reserves of confidence and accomplishments. Cynthia's books, Journaling as a Sacred Practice and What's Possible from Here, are available on Amazon. Find her at Cynthia at cgregorycreativity.com, and she is going to tell you a bit about her free gift at the end of the session. All right, welcome, women. How are you doing?
Excited to be here.
Yeah,
Lovely,
great.
lovely.
Happy.
Well, we all know that confidence is definitely a challenging thing for most women. In fact, confidence, we're going to examine women and their lack of sense of self confidence, their enoughness, and owning their brilliance, and being able to allow themselves to celebrate themselves and use compassion as a way to live their lives. We're going to share insights, help rewrite false narratives, grow beyond fear and shame, and come together in resonant support and inspiration. This is actually a two-part panelist series, and you can find the other part in my episodes list on Your Spectacular Life. All right, I am going to go around to folks so they will be able to chat about what they feel is a challenge with confidence. Gail, I'm going to start with you. Now, what do you see in the way of getting in the way of getting for women to have confidence in themselves?
Well, huge topic, but really important one. I'll just say briefly, in my clinical practice, what I see is what I think a lot of people just know inside themselves and see with their women friends and colleagues every day. Women often hold themselves back from expressing the fullness of their ideas. They hold themselves back from taking leadership, from believing that they actually can do things beautifully and competently. And also there's a sort of strange idea, I think, that a lot of women have that I see, that not only should they only do things that they already know how to do well, but if they do dare to try something new, nobody should see them sweat. It should look like they already are doing it perfectly, which is very, very limiting in terms of being able to, right, take risk and expand your repertoire of competence.
Yeah, and it sounds a lot like there's some perfectionism going on
Absolutely.
with being able to be who authentically, their true authentic self. Why do you think that women have that perfection put on their shoulders?
Millennia of misogyny.
Can you be a little more specific about that? I love that.
Well, we live still primarily in a culture that tells us that men and women are fundamentally different and that men are fundamentally better and women inferior. And so that is a lot of cultural baggage, which was, injected in us through the people we love most originally, for most of us, in the family setting, in schools, religion, most of the structures of our society, and reinforced by media and education and pretty much every institution in every culture everywhere in the globe.
Yeah, that does make it challenging, and we all battle with that, especially when we work with men, when we're surrounded by men, managed by men. It does make it hard for us to be ourselves and to say what we have to say with confidence. Now, Pia, what do you think gets in the way of women building their confidence?
Well, my experience with confidence, not only with clients, but with myself, and just being a female on the planet, connecting with other females, the lack of confidence actually stems from an inner disconnect, that we lose a connection to ourselves, a fundamental connection that basically can be called self-love. but I've experienced it as like a visceral, tangible, physical connection where I've come face to face with myself, belly to belly, heart to heart, in a way that suddenly, oh, it gives me chills just remembering the first time I felt that. Here I am. I'm not alone. I'm with me. I've got my back. And being in that place, being able then to have the freedom to just be myself, being comfortable with being myself, then confidence is not something that I feel I need to build or work with. It just is, because I'm here with me now, and it's okay, and I'm good the way I am.
I love that, because what you're saying is once you strongly connect with yourself, it's there. You don't have to work or push or over effort at bringing it up. It just comes up.
Right. It's not a problem. And so that connection, though, involves other steps and other layers. For instance, what Gail brought up about that impact that we've had regarding how men, and how we are with them. I worked in corporate, so I know it very well. And there's a lot of healing to do around all of this, to be able to be free, to feel that you're being yourself is enough.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Freedom. Yay. Cynthia, any thoughts on what you see as getting in the way of confidence for women?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, we have a long tradition of not being given voice. And even, I mean, in the history of literature, the original novels were morality tales, basically about what happens to women if they get out of their lane. Usually they die. That was the sad end of the story. And even after that, women authors had their voices stripped because they couldn't publish under their own names. And so their voices were once again silenced. So I think that generally speaking, we have a long tradition of not having our voices valued. And it's a radical act of self-care in order to empower yourself to be heard and seen.
Right. And I love that you said that, because it's almost in our DNA, because what we read, what we learn, what we take in is all very male based. And then, Cynthia, just maybe one or two things. How have you found your voice? Because you mentor people to find their voice, get out of their box, and write about who they are and what they want to be heard, how they want to be heard.
Yeah, journaling is a practice that I learned from a group of women in Los Angeles. It was so powerful. All we did was journal and read out loud. And so we practiced being heard. And one of the things that happened, which was so wonderful, is we got a little competitive and we would get more and more outrageous. And I learned that it doesn't hurt anybody to be outrageous on the page. And it does kind of fire you up a little bit to push a little bit more, push a little bit further about what you can say and how you can say it.
I like that. Journaling. That's great. And most of our most secret thoughts are in our journals. So
Yes.
able to throw it out there in front of people, that's vulnerable, needing to be vulnerable, needing to just be confident about that vulnerability.
It's transformative, really.
Yeah. And Gail, I had a question. You work in the dating and love and romance field. And, I would imagine that most women lack confidence in being who they are when they're connecting with a guy under your realm. What do you see, and what do you tell them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it depends to some degree on their age, how enmeshed they still are in myths about femininity and who they're required to be in order to be acceptable to a man. So I would say that the biggest thing is the biggest crime against self, let's call it, is when women approach romance as a requirement to hold themselves back cater to the man's interests. And it's amazing we're still saying this in 2022, right? But it still happens. Cater to the man's interests, desires, mood, energy level, yada, 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 you name it. To some degree, be very, very careful and inhibited about just when and what and how they challenge that space taking of the male. So anyway, and then wait for a long time into the relationship to slowly reveal parts of themselves. So instead, I invert that and very, very strongly suggest and train women who are interested in this possibility to being utterly and outrageously, to borrow from Cynthia, outrageously themselves to the nth degree, to the tips of their fingernails, so that they know right away who are the men that are good matches for them.
Love that.
Boom. Very efficient, very efficient. Yes.
Right.
No.
Show, get out, show yourself in full. And then, you'll see whether the person likes that or doesn't, and then go forward. I think we should do that in every moment and be unapologetic with being who we are. That's great. Pia, now we're talking about, the challenges about what's going on now. Do you think society, that is men and women, have unrealistic standards for women? And in what ways?
Oh, absolutely. Just so, as I mentioned, I come from corporate background, a place where that's the men's playground, even though there are maybe even equal amount of women. But going into that realm as me, a woman who, for some reason, I am very connected to my own feminine ways of intuition, of connection, of relationship, and being in a group of women who are behaving like men so they can fit in, and they're doing what they need to do. It's a survival thing, right? But it perpetuates it. It perpetuates it from the men's point of view, who get upset that women are emotional, that react emotionally. Whereas if a man reacts emotionally, he's strong. He's fierce. He believes in himself.
Right. He's direct.
Yes. And so it's very uneven. It's very challenging. And there's what's needed is for women to find their femininity in the midst of it all, because it's very powerful. I was very, very successful in completing projects on time, even though my methods were criticized because I wasn't yelling at the guys and I wasn't doing this and that in a harsh way, but I was creating relationship. I was understanding, I was connecting, and that made all the difference.
Yeah, that's great. I love hearing you. I love the line of women acting like men. I think through some parts of time in like the 70s, with women wearing the suits that look like men, and with the bow tie to make them look a little tiny feminine. And boy, oh boy, I'm glad times have changed. Cynthia, what do you see in society putting unreal standards on women to act or be different? In trying, and again, taking them away for who they really are, or from who they really are?
Well, I think one of the ways that we do that are by the symbols of our mythic stereotypes, our archetypes. We cherish the Barbie doll, we cherish the sexy young girl, and a woman of a certain age disappears when she's reaching her wisdom years, when she has the most to contribute. That archetype is largely absent. She's starting to reemerge, happy to see it happening. But we learn from our archetypes. They're like the templates of how we show up in the world. And like much of women's history and stories, a lot of it's been erased. And so we've had to imitate the only thing that was out there, to Pia's point, which is we pretend to be like men. When we are innately creative, our bodies were made to be creative, literally creative. And, and our intuition is something that we've been allowed to expand and grow and create, although we have to be careful of our language. We say, oh, it was a gut instinct, or I just had this, inspiration, when really it's intuitive. We're really tapping into our intuitive powers that we've always had. So I think that we're coming out of that period, but we've had to adapt with, I think, mediocre archetypes to work with.
I think so, and I think any mention of the intuition scares people because
Yeah.
we've lived so long in a mind-based, logical way of communicating and going against our life, logic over sensing and emotions. Although, we're coming out with emotional intelligence that's starting or has been turning the tide, thank goodness. And I think, I hear more people saying, let me see how that feels. I know some of my coaching clients that I work with, we talk about, again, goals and desires, about what they want to accomplish. And I'm always saying, how is that feeling? Because without that super important bit of information, there's going to be challenges. There may be resistance. There may be something that is coming up that is going to take away their confidence. So I really applaud you in bringing up the word intuition. Gail, what have you seen with people, with women being put under the microscope in society, and how have they dealt with it? And how have you recommended that they deal with it?
Could you say a little more about under the microscope?
Yeah, women, as Cynthia and Pia have said, women have to watch themselves a little more. They have to watch tone, they have to watch strength, or they are considered, and they have to watch, what they say. I can't use a feeling statement, or there will be some negative connotations.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you seen with how women have really, or what would you recommend women getting out of that and feeling their strength?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think a piece of it is building up alternate communities that exist side by side with the culture at large, so that anytime you can strengthen, women do this naturally, right? We put a lot of emphasis, or naturally, or we've been culturally taught, we're good at relationships. We're taught to prioritize them, but that's great in a lot of ways. One way it's great is that women can bond together through deep knowledge of each other's experience, get out of an experience of isolation. Oh, it's just me, or oh, it's my fault. Oh, it's because I'm not this enough or that enough. And recognize it as more of a common experience, and also actively support each other. If they're in the same rooms together, in business settings, they can amplify each other's words. They can refer to what each other talked about, so that it can't be made invisible instantly, buried, or have a man, which very often happens, especially in corporate settings, have a man take credit for what they just said. So to de-invisibilize, to make visible, to make each other more and more visible, to lift each other up, to experience ourselves as doing this together, is a very, very powerful way to counteract where we are where the attempt is to place us and hold us. To break free from it, I think, requires community.
I like that. I work with, again, a lot of clients when I coach who, when anything goes wrong, they take the blame. It's my fault. It's me. I said something. I did something. And I don't know if that certainly is a woman thing, but it definitely is a lack of confidence thing. And we need to see that by being in groups and community with others, that we all have challenges and we all run into this and we all have the tendency to be the one who takes the blame because that's just how we've been raised. I know I've been raised for that. People please, and I'll take the blame because I want to people please even more. Now, Pia, in group settings, what have you gained by being in group settings with women?
Well, just the female energy in the room kind of allows a relaxing, right? There's something that unknots and just, something that I feel safer and really in my own tribe, right? There's all the experiences of looking to what they do, how they present, what they deliver as a way to learn from other behaviors that women can provide. Being around women, the main woman that's affected my life actually was my mom. She had the most amazing presence. She would enter a room and the room would just stop and turn. And she just, her smiling and her big energy, and she loved it. And it's been my kind of life journey to find, and I'm still working on finding that within me, because I'm taking that as my inheritance, that I'm evolving. And and what was the best is that she just enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. She enjoyed just expanding her energy and being seen. Wow.
What a great mentor. Yeah. And you had her, or still have her, for many, many days. But what a great way to see how a mom, a woman, somebody who's dear to you should act in embracing their loveliness.
Yeah, she was wonderful. A bit ahead of her time. At 20 years old, she was flying those two-seaters planes.
Oh my word.
She was jumping on horseback riding. She was amazing.
That's great. Oh my gosh. All right. Thank you for sharing that. That was nice. Mm-hmm. Cynthia, I'd love to hear a story about a moment where you helped a woman go from lower self-confidence and shift to higher self-confidence.
Okay, so it would be in a book coaching experience. I think that, we are all told that we should be able to write, because it's expected in everyday life. You can't get through a school without having to, to diagram a sentence. But also came a lot of, criticism about how we did it. So people generally don't have a lot of confidence about writing. And I love getting somebody in my circle, and we're doing the journaling. And if we're sharing, it's an optional opportunity. But once they hear other people sharing, then they get a little bit braver and they'll do it. And it's such a transformative experience. And so I try to provide my clients with, accolades. It's like, yeah, that's so much better than the last time you did it. Or it's like, that's amazing, do more of that. And they get this little smile on their face, like they've never heard anybody encourage them to express creatively. And even if it's flawed, who cares? They're building those muscles and starting to believe that they can actually do it, which is a beautiful thing to see. And it's like, I always tell them, I'll believe in you until you learn to do it yourself. Just keep doing it.
What a great statement. I believe I'll hold the belief until you're ready. And if you think about it, women in groups, Gail, you said something that we are kind of born to to have a collaborative nature with other women. And maybe that is a difference between men and women right off the bat. We want to play, we want to help. And later on in life, we are there for support of people in our, business groups, our friends, our family, which is so positive because that allows us to, start with confidence in if it's only just, I can help this person, that's a wonderful thing. So I think by nature, we have the ability to collaborate with others, which is great. And Gail, is there a story or a moment that you want to share where you helped one of your clients go from a place of lower confidence to higher self-confidence?
Yeah, can I talk about a slightly process that
Absolutely. I
that's,
love processes.
that
Go for it.
helps lots and lots of people. I love doing it, which is toward the end of a session, very, very often, the client and I will kind of identify what's their cutting edge, what's the thing, the piece of growth that they're right up against in terms of their own development, their own confidence, their own efficacy, their own power in the world, et cetera. And that we'll identify that and then design a behavior, a small behavioral experiment that they are to do at least once a day, and we'll decide what the reasonable amount is. And part of this comes from the idea of Kaizen, from Japanese manufacturing. Anyway, the idea is a small targeted change that you attempt to be very open to what is the actual feedback the world is giving you from this new change you just implemented in. Sometimes it's even hard for us to interpret correctly what is the feedback the world is giving us, because our mind so quickly tries to turn it into the things that we already assume and think we know. And so partly it's a matter of the bravery to experiment, and partly it's a matter of the mental and spiritual openness to actually receive the information. And then we come back together and say, what did you learn? What was hard? What was easier than you thought? What are the new possibilities for you in terms of how you understand who you really are and what your impact can be? And that can be around any topic, any area of challenge, but it's especially powerful around dating, I find.
That's great. What small exercises? Can you give an example of that somebody has to do at least once a day to expand their self and growth?
Well, pre-COVID,
yeah,
when people were, well, maybe a lot of people are out and about again now, but anyway, put your cell phone away when you're out in the world and make eye contact with 3 people and smile, say hello. That could be one, starting a conversation with a stranger. And the goal is 3 back and forths that are light, playful, curious, and open, to slowly shift the attitude of who you get to be out in the public realm. That's one example.
That's great. And have you seen this building confidence?
Oh my God, yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Any sentence that starts with, I didn't know I could, is very powerful, because, I mean, I don't know. Some people say action precedes belief. Other people say belief precedes action. I like to think of it as a feedback loop, and trying to get the feedback loop going in a positive direction. So doing something differently actually can change your belief about yourself in a very powerful way. And then when you believe that thing about yourself, then you act differently the next time, which gives you a new feedback loop, and on and on and on. And so that's a kind of dynamism to thinking of building yourself as an active, experimental, creative process, building a new self. is a great experience of mastery.
And our life path is personal growth. And that changing, rebuilding just allows us to move forward in a much positive way, manifesting what we like and the relationships that we love. Cynthia, do you have a tip or a tool when uh, trying to build the confidence of a person to just at least even moving through courage, being courageous enough to write something different or challenging?
Yes, I do. It's one of my favorite tricks. It's a powerful tool and it's surprisingly simple, but that is to set a timer and write for 5 minutes and keep your pen moving the whole time, or 10 minutes or 15. Most people start with writing because they have an idea and they just want to get it down on paper. And that's expressing what you already know, but what you're going after is what you don't know consciously. And that comes about when you keep the pen moving, and I'll often give a client a challenge. Write 3 things you know for sure. And they'll say, oh, easy. And I'm like, that was too easy. Okay. Write a list of 10 things you know for sure. And it's usually those things that come after 5 that are the best, because they had to dig a little bit deeper for those. They had to listen to their intuition because they'd already run out of ideas. That's where I think the golden nuggets are, is beyond what you already know.
Right. And they get to see what they don't know in that process. Isn't that great?
And they're astonished and surprised and proud that they were able to, receive this from themselves. It's coming from their inner wisdom and they didn't know it was there. So it's like a new superpower.
I like that. Pia, do you have any short tips that you could give to our listeners about how you build confidence, or something quick in the moment, an affirmation or something?
Yeah, I suggest to practically all my clients to set their alarm on the phone for maybe twice a day. And when it dings, all you need to do is turn it off, take a breath, and just ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And just connect with yourself in that moment. There's nothing to do with it. There's nothing to process. It's just about that moment. What am I feeling right now? It's just establishing a connection, a self-connection, a familiarity with yourself. And that then builds on this self-love, really. It's kind of the basis of a self-love, that coming together between your consciousness and your body, and feeling more and more whole.
Yeah, and it sounds like it also helps with the practice of checking in, because so often, and I know this for myself and my clients, we're in our head 24/7. We dream what happened during that day. We're always thinking of the next step. So taking a step back with that alarm is a great idea to essentially just get in touch, breathe, and know what you're feeling. Because as we move through life, and especially relating back to confidence, if you're not feeling good about something, maybe an interaction that occurred, that's going to teach you how to behave next time, or how to go back and have a conversation with a person that maybe things weren't wonderful, and what transpired. But we can't really do that without feelings. So that's wonderful. All right. Well, we are getting to the end. I'm going to go around. Is there any last minute tips that you would throw out there for someone who's looking to live in a more confident, stronger way? Cynthia.
Yes, I would say trust your voice. It goes against everything we've been taught to do, but it's powerful magic. and trust that you have something to share with the world, because you do.
Great. Anybody else? No pressure. Go ahead, Pia.
Yeah, I would say just know that you're whole and complete exactly as you are. There may be some healing to do here and there, some integration, but there's nothing that's missing. You are perfect just as you are.
Yeah, dose of self-love. Amen. I love that. Gail, anything? I mean, you've said some marvelous things. If you feel complete, that's wonderful.
I would say look for any opportunity you have, or create opportunities where you can be in your full joy and strength. If there's any place in your life where you know you feel completely wonderful, do more of it.
Ooh. Wow, I wanna put all these thoughts down in one of Cynthia's books and just spread it out there. Great, great information, y'all. Now, I want to just before we end, I want to talk to Cynthia and all of you. How can people get a hold of you?
My website is cgregorycreativity.com. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly, though, I would love to hear from them. And I have a free gift that I'm willing to give away. If you write to me at coachcynthia.gregory@gmail.com and say, have in your subject line free gift, I will shoot you off a wonderful little mini journaling exercise where you can journal with your angels and archetypes.
All right. Pia, how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so my website is piahealing.com, Pia Healing, all one word. And I have a way you can message me on the website. You can choose a 20-minute time slot so we can get to know each other over Zoom. And I will have an 8-minute confidence infusion audio for you to just listen to as you're in a waiting room or wherever you are, to get that extra boost of confidence.
Great. Gail, how can
Yeah.
our listeners contact you?
Yeah, I offer anybody who is interested in spending an hour to explore a challenge. They can do a 1-hour consult with me, complimentary, and sign up for it on my website. That is www.datewisenow.com. And also very happy, as Cynthia is too, very happy to have people write me, get in touch with me by email, be delighted to answer. And my email is datewise. Sorry, I forgot my email address. datewise@icloud.com. datewise@icloud.com.
Great. Thank you all for being so generous with your willingness to make women more confident with your giveaways, with the information that you've imparted, with the spirit of strengthening womanhood on this podcast. I really want to thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Katie. This
oh,
was
yeah.
fantastic. It was a wonderful conversation. It
Great.
lit my day up.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I am feeling great now. All right, you all take care. And again, I appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's great
Thank
to be
you,
here.
Jody.
Thank you.